So, what do you get when you have Richard Roundtree, the legendary Bruce Campbell, and Tom Atkins, and Robert Z'Dar. Oh, I keep saying that name wrong. Right, I'm keeping this in a horror movie. You get Maniac Cop from 1988, that's what you get. And this is a good time. Don't listen to the naysayers on this, because there's quite a few of them on YouTube. This is a good time. Is it perfect? No. But is any movie perfect? No. So let's get into it, shall we? As you can guess, I enjoyed this movie quite a lot. So we'll get into the plot of the movie straight away. There's a Maniac Cop. The clue's in the title. And the Maniac Cop is known as Matt Cordell. I hope I've got that right. I watched it last night, guys, and I'm trying to remember it all now. But it was Matt Cordell. And he used to be a decorated cop. One of the best. Apparently, he was cleaning the streets up. And for whatever reason, and I may have missed this in the movie, so my bad if I did, but it looks like he might have been framed by mayor, chief of police, maybe a certain politicians. I think it does get mentioned. He gets framed for something he didn't do. I would have a guess. And he ends up in prison, obviously with all the criminals and everyone that he's put away during his time as a police officer. And unfortunately for him, he gets absolutely mutilated in the showers. Not like that. With shivs and knives in his face, and takes a hiding. He's presumed dead. Clearly he isn't dead. And he gets out of prison and he roams the streets killing innocent people because he's a little bit, mashed in the head with everything that happened. And while he's killing innocent people, he's trying to get the people that framed him and put him behind bars. That's basically the gist of Maniac Cop, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I remember watching this film quite a lot as a kid, and it was one of my go-tos along with House 1, House 2. Shouldn't have watched it as a kid, to be fair. Shouldn't have watched it, but I did, and I loved it then. So I'll get into my positives, and Robert Z'Dar as Matt Cordell, the Maniac Cop. It's just perfect casting. The guy looks amazing. He's intimidating as hell. And I like the way the director shot him, especially early on in the movie, where you only get glimpses of his face. You don't really see him, and the way they framed, they just made him look so intimidating. And the guy is intimidating looking anyway. He was a big guy. And he played it perfectly. And I like to call him Officer Voorhees instead of Matt Cordell, because he just reminded me a little bit of Jason with a couple of kills, which I will actually get into my negatives a little bit on that one. It's just a little gripe of mine. That's all it is. But I thought he was brilliant. And look, listen, anything with Bruce Campbell in gets a thumbs up in my book. It doesn't even matter how bad it is. My Name is Bruce, for example. If you've ever seen that film, God, it's terrible. But Bruce Campbell makes it entertaining. And he's a good actor. He's just a good performer. And he's good in this as well. He plays a good part. And again, Tom Atkins, legend in the horror field. He's brilliant in anything and everything he does. And he's brilliant in this. Again, absolute top class. And always great to see Richard Roundtree, Shaft, in anything. Always get a buzz out of seeing him. So you've got, 4 really good top performers that bring their A game. And they do as well. And I like the seediness of New York City as well. It just comes across as just being just a horrible place to live in the 80s, It's definitely a character in itself in this movie, and I really do like the way it's shot. And I also like as well, having a someone dressed up as a police officer as the main villain in your slasher movie, because as a member of the public, you trust the police, and you like to think if you see the police that you're safe. And this movie plays on that, plays on the fears of the public of New York and the police as well. And it it's a good idea for a horror movie, and it works. So it shows you, the fears of the public, and also, the fears of the police, that, they could be, they could just be getting shot by scared members of the public. That actually happens in this movie at one point as well. So it works. It works for what they were going for in this movie. And also, I will say, the stunt work in this film is fantastic as well. I mean, there's one stunt near the end where a guy's hanging off the truck that goes into the bay. And if he would have messed that up, man, I think this guy would not have made it. You have to see the stunt yourself. It's quite close as it is. But it's impressive. And I always like seeing stunts in old movies because, there's no CGI, there's no nothing. These guys literally did what you're seeing on screen. And it's impressive. And, I always respect that. Always. Right. Now, getting into my negatives a little bit. The reason why I call him Officer Voorhees is because what always gripes me in certain horror movies is how the victim will run and run and run and run and run, and now realistically would be miles away from the slow stalking killer, because you never see Maniac Cop run, right? So there's a guy in handcuffs, and he literally belts it down the street now, and he's probably said, I'd say, not, he's got a good few yards on him anyway, right? But because in all sorts of horror movies as well, they trip up on, things that they should be seeing in front of them, really. And he trips up, falls into wet cement. And literally, the moment he falls in the wet cement, Officer Voorhees is there, putting his hand on the back of his head to drown him in the wet cement. Like he was literally right behind him. How? How were you there? How? He should have fell in that cement, and then literally 5 minutes later, he should rock up. And there's another one where he does a Batman. Like the two detectives are shooting him, and they're right close up to him, by the way. Right, it's in a dark alleyway or whatever, but they're right up to him. Like this one detective is literally inches away from him, unloading her gun into him. And then next minute, he just disappears. It's like the camera cuts away from him and then cuts back to where he should be, and he's not there. And the two detectives are like, where's he gone? You would have clearly seen him leave. That was only done for us as the audience. And it just always winds me up. They would have clearly seen him go. It always gripes me when that happens. I don't know why. It's always just been a little thing for me. I can't, it annoys me. It just annoys me. But other than that little gripe, you know what I mean? I do really like this movie. And I think if you haven't seen it, guy, I think it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, God, it's got Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell in it. I mean, there you go. That should just sell it on its own, shouldn't it? So with that being said, guys, I give Maniac Cop... Get your rose tinted glasses off, Dave. I'll give it a 3.5. I'll give it a 3.5 because there is a few plot holes kind of in there as well. But I think for what they were going for, it works. And it spawned 2 sequels anyway, which I will get to at some point in the future as well. You know. Oh, yeah. Before I forget, this is in my negatives as well. When I was saying before when they were shooting him up close and then he disappears, right? Now, they mentioned just after that he could have been wearing a bulletproof vest. But one of the detectives actually says that she shot him twice in the head. And he should be dead. Yeah. You're absolutely right, he should be dead. Now, they make it clear in the movie that he is actually not dead. He's not a zombie. He is alive. So, if she has shot him twice in the head, the credits should just roll straight after that, shouldn't he? The movie's over. He's gone. I don't care how intimidating and hard and scary he is. He's dead. But then in saying that, he literally disappears in front of her eyes from inches away anyway, so she could have been completely wrong. She could have completely missed his head because she didn't see him. Fuck off. So, yeah. I don't know why it gripes me so much. I think I've seen in just so many horror movies that it just became like a trope. You know what I mean? And it makes no sense, man. It really doesn't. The worst one for doing stuff like that was Friday the 13th Part 8. Like, Teleport Jason, they called him, basically, wasn't it? Whatever. But why am I nitpicking movies that are like Friday the 13th Part 8 for? I don't know. I might have woke up on the wrong side of bed today. Right, guys. Well, that's my review of Maniac Cop. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. And be good to yourselves and each other. Take care.